The indigenous peoples of Texas had their own views as well. General Manuel de Mier y Terán mentioned them in his report. Around Nacogdoches, where the Chickamauga Cherokees had taken part in the Fredonian Rebellion, he mentioned them as being well armed. He believed them capable of causing problems in the future as well, especially if they made common cause with the Americans. The Indian immigrants who had settled in the pines and hills of those parts were of interest and perhaps concern, but they were by no means the dominant native power in Tejas. That honor belonged to the Comanches. The new Santa Fe Trail connecting Missouri to New Mexico passed through the northern edge of Comancheria, their domain. Americans wanted horses and cattle. Mexico had them. Comancheros in New Mexico prospered as the deal makers in this new commerce. What could not be acquired through trades would be taken in raids. Coahuila, Chihuahua, and Tamaulipas supplied abundant plunder. Mexican authorities seemed unable to respond. The campesinos of the haciendas learned it was better to let the Comanches get away with their stolen horses unpunished than to pursue them and fall into an ambush. Tejas and its growing number of American settlers offered the Comanches another attractive source of loot in this violent raiding and trading system. Cattle, horses, and people flowed into the region from hundreds of locations. Horses traveled up the Santa Fe Trail to the Great Plains and the United States. Cattle fed people along the Red River and Canadian, as well as along the upper Rio Grande and Pecos. Children taken captive could be sold or traded to other native peoples or to New Mexicans. The enslaved taken in raids were sometimes sold in the Arkansas Territory, often to native peoples who also made use of their forced labor. The Wichitas, Caddos, Lipan Apaches, and Tonkawas who traded with the Comanches also often plundered their items from Tejano homesteads, both American and Mexican. The Comanches prospered. They became a massive pastoral power in the southern Great Plains. Horses were their measure of wealth. As Comanche power grew, people died. 5 Mexicans fell for every Comanche killed. Mexican settlements on the northern frontera suffered. In places, it was becoming a wilderness again. But not Texas. The Comanches were familiar with Americans. They traded with them on the Santa Fe Trail and liked them. The American Tejanos, though, were a different tribe. They pursued their enemies and were not afraid to fight. In reaction to the native peoples and their raid and trade economy, the American colonists in Tejas had established squads of riders called Rangers. They patrolled the settlements and provided early warning. These men would often spoil Indian plans. The Comanches learned to simply ride on toward safer targets at the first sign of well-armed men ready to defend their homes and horse herds.